So my name is Jong Min Oh, and I'm from University of Central Florida. And I have three more co-authors, and one first co-author is Fred Bereskin from University of Missouri, and the other co-author is Song Byun at Virginia Commonwealth University, and the final co-author is Micah Officer from Loyola Marymount University. Our paper is entitled as The Effect of Cultural Similarity on Mergers and Acquisition, Evidence from Corporate Social Responsibility. And before I get started, a brief summary of this paper, let me give you a little bit of background of our paper. So there is a lot of anecdotal evidence telling that for example, there was a recent high-profile merger failures like AOL or Time Warner's or the Daimler and Chrysler, which are attributed to the lack of cultural fit. And we were discussing about this, and we talked about that one of the important mechanisms of this high-profile merger failure was the post-merger integration issues. What we've done is that we talked about whether we can somehow quantify the similarity of corporate culture between the two firms so that we can test whether the cultural similarity actually matters for the M&A success. And so what we've done is we constructed data and using the firm's corporate social responsibility policies, and we measured how they are similar in their corporate social responsibility policies. And so we use this what we call the CSR similarity measure, and what we found is that actually the firm's corporate cultural similarity matters. Like for example, we found that when firms are similar in their cultures, they are more likely to merge. And given they're merged, they are more likely to perform or exhibit very better performance going forward. And to give you a little bit of evidence on this ease of post-merger integration due to the cultural similarity, we also go ahead and show that when firms are similar in their cultures, they have higher likelihood that their deals will be completed after the announcement. And not only the deals will be likely completed, but they will be completed in more faster rate. And finally, what we have shown is that when firms are similar in their culture, that reduces the likelihood of the merged firms that the merged firm has to undergo the costly cultural change. And so taking these all together, we found that the cultural similarity matters, and one of the important mechanisms that we show was that it eases the post-merger integration of the merged firms. And so we think that given that there is a lot of anecdotal evidence, but little evidence or little discussions on this empirical evidence, we think that our results are very meaningful to the broader audience that are interested in merger success. So that we just provided that the cultural similarity actually matters, and the important mechanism for this cultural similarity and the better performance is due to the ease of post-merger integrations. The corporate culture, as you all know, is very broad and very abstract concept. So it's almost impossible to capture every aspect of culture. So what we've done is that we looked at, or we gathered the data about firms' corporate social responsibility policies. So they have a very detailed part of what they focus on inside those corporate social responsibility aspects. So for example, whether they have focus on the employee engagement or employee relations or community engagement, or whether to focus on the environmental issues and so on and so forth. So we gather all this data for each firm, and then we've constructed a measure to capture the similarity between all these corporate social responsibility policies for each firm. Now, with the CSR, or the corporate social responsibility, can this CSR capture effectively the culture? Well, there is a lot of studies showing that the CSR is one of the very important aspects of the corporate culture. So we have that problem solved. But do they actually give the evidence that this CSR similarity, what we call the CSR similarity, is linked to the post-merger integration? Well, consider, for example, that a firm that is focusing a lot of attention, focusing on the workplace diversity. And consider for another firm that has very poor reputation on workplace diversity. And if you can naturally think that when they do merge, they will possibly have challenges in the post-merger integration. So that will give us another confidence that this CSR similarity will effectively capture the cultural similarity, as well as it can give us a link to the post-merger integration issues. Well, if you think about CSR similarity or cultural similarity in a broader sense, the thing that we were struggling when we were having a chat between the co-authors was that there are a lot of examples about these high-profile merger failures, like AOL, Time Warner's, or the Daimler and the Chrysler, and which are actually often attributed to the lack of cultural fit. But the difficulties that we were having before the project was that, as I said earlier, it's very difficult to capture very broad and the abstract concept of culture. So we were struggling whether we can do it, but actually when we were discussing further, we had found a way to capture at least one very important aspect of the culture, which is the corporate social responsibility similarities. So it was great that we could take that and then test the things that we want to actually test, which we initially thought that it was very hard to test. Oh, well, of course, we started off with a CSR similarity, which is, as I said, it's one important part of corporate culture. But as I said earlier, corporate culture is very broad and diverse, and there are a lot of aspects in the corporate culture. So it would be great in the future, well, if people or researchers can go one step farther and actually have a way to construct more very comprehensive cultural measure, so that they can measure this very abstract concept of culture, and then they can do more research to uncover some very important aspect or important effect that the corporate culture can have an impact on these corporate outcomes. We think that the reason that it was selected as one of the most read articles in JFQA was, first of all, I think people have long been very interested in the in determinants of merger success in general, and moreover, I think that there is a growing interest in the corporate culture and the post-merger integrations. So I think we believe that effectively combining these two has been, at least so far, been pretty successful in catching people's eyes, and finally, I guess the academics and the general audience are paying more and more attention on this corporate social responsibility of the firm. So the fact that the CSR, the fact that our paper gives another way in which the CSR can impact the corporate outcomes, maybe probably another reason that have caught people's eyes. And again, we thank you very much for the readers or audience for the interest in our paper. We really appreciate that. Well, obviously, JFQA is one of the leading journals in finance, and it has a very huge impact on in the academia. So we didn't wait to choose the JFQA, and so we are very happy to have our work published at the JFQA.